Hello, everybody.
Do you find yourself commonly confused by words? Let's get started.
Okay, 5th grade, before we start, just make sure that you have your pink, commonly confused words paper so that you can write down examples that we provide in the video. So if you look on the screen, you're going to see an EX with a colon, and behind that you're going to see a sentence. You are to write those sentences beside the words that they match. If we're going a little too quick for you, please find the pause button and take a second to make sure that you have the sentence correct. Our first two words are accept and accept. You'll see one is ACCEPT and one is EXCEPT. For the first one, ACCEPT, it means to receive. The example of the sentence here would be, I was so happy to accept her gift. On the other side, you'll see accept EXCEPT, and that means with the exclusion of. So an example of that would be a sentence like this, I love all candy except chocolate.
In our next example, affect and effect, you find two words that are often commonly pronounced the same. The first word, affect, means to influence or change. It's a verb. The example would be, my vote will affect the outcome. The second one, effect, is a noun. It means a result. The example would be, what was the effect of my decision, as in cause and effect.
Okay, for our third example, we have the words beside and besides. So on the left-hand side, you see the word beside, and that means close to or next to. And the example is there a table beside the bed, such as the one right here? On the right side of your screen, you'll see the word besides, and that means except for or in addition. An example of that would be, who is coming besides you and me? Maybe to a party.
In the next example, we have capital. Capital spelled with an AL at the end and capital spelled with an OL at the end. The capital with the AL refers to a major city or primary city. The example would be, Albany is the capital of New York. The second example is OL and refers to a government building. Example, I sat on the steps of the Capitol.
Our next example is something that we spoke about a few weeks ago, and that would be the word its with and without an apostrophe. On the left, you see its without the apostrophe, which is the possessive form of it, and the example at the bottom there would be, the dog chased its tail. Notice there's not an apostrophe because then we would confuse it with the its with the apostrophe, which is a contraction. On the right, you see that example, and its with an apostrophe, it apostrophe s, would be the contraction form for it is or it has. An example would be, it's so funny to watch, or in other words, it is so funny to watch.
Our next example is the word principal. In the first example, it ends with an AL. In the second example, it ends with an LE. For the first example, principal ending in AL, it means the administrator of a school. The example would be, our school's principal is Mr. Robinson. The second example of principle ends with an LE, and it means a moral conviction or basic truth. An example of that would be, theft is a matter of principle.
Okay, so here you see the two words sense and since. In the red, you'll see the meaning of the word sense. It means to understand or the perception of something. The example is a perception. It says the odor assaulted my sense of smell. On the right-hand side in the pink writing, you'll see since. And this means indication of past time, because. An example, this has been a top-selling product since 1988.
In this example, we have two commonly confused words, especially when we're writing. The words are than and then. In than, it means to compare to. The example would be, Chloe is faster than Haley. In the word then, which means at the time or next, the example would be, I went to the store, then to the bank.
Okay, here is one that Mr. Mori and I see quite frequently as commonly confused, and that would be there, and there. In the red on the left-hand side, you'll see the word there, T-H-E-I-R, and that word means the possessive form of they. The example would be, the couple wanted their yard mowed. In the middle, in the orange, you'll see the word there, T-H-E-R-E, which is in that place. A way to remember this would be if you replace this T with a W, you'll have the word where, which means something similar. The example would be, the yard man was there at noon. And on the right, you'll see there as the contraction form of they are, and the example is, they're thrilled with the job he did. And if we would replace this with they are, it would still make sense.
Our second last example deals with the words whose. In the first whose, we have W-H-O-S-E. In the second one, it's the contraction whose, W-H-O''S. For the first example, whose, W-H-O-S-E, it's the possessive for of who. The example would be, whose jacket is on the chair. In the contraction for who is, the example is, who's going to find out.
Okay, one last example and another one that has a contraction. On the left in the green, you'll see your, Y-O-U-R, and that is the possessive form for you. An example sentence would be, get your shoes off the table. On the right, you'll see your, Y-O-U''re, which is the contraction for you are. Example, you're going to have to clean it now.
That's all, folks.